As the only male mech operator in the world, how awkward is it to study in a girls' school? Female master is in charge of the class, but the audience is not interested in him. His childhood sweetheart can't bear it, and the woman's inexplicable power directly brings the heart into these. Before the male master reacts, the second-in-command machine pulls back the reality. The overbearing president-like girl in front of him is the sister of the class, Qiandong. As the first generation of mech operators, her strong strength makes people dizzy. But who could have expected that she would become a teacher in a blink of an eye? For this strict education method, the poor sister can only be wronged for a moment, and the picture turns to dusk. Although the way back is followed by heavy rain, but at the same time, she still comes to the school's assignment station with her head. However, the next scene is directly shocking for 300 years. I'm the same age as Shinonome. Suddenly, there is only embarrassment in the air. Who can stand it? She and her childhood sweetheart are separated in a room. It's a fact that she can't even think about it, but there is no way to make up for Bing Cheng's loss. Zhaozhi picked up the wooden sword and asked for an explanation. As the wooden sword pierced through the door, she fell on one side. As a result, the embarrassing scene was also seen by her classmates. After a while, a slightly humble balloon finally moved Zhaozhi. But when she returned to the room, she suddenly changed her style. Zhaozhi was shocked by the mysterious object and picked up the sword. Can you say that this is not embarrassing? Zhaozhi, who was getting more and more shy, couldn't help but laugh at their insult. But then again, when a boy jumps out of a girls' school for no reason, there will always be people who don't like it. For example, the foreign girl, Saishiria. When her classmates were all in the recommendation class, Saishiria was the first to disagree when she represented the mechanical competition ASA representative of the girls' school. In her eyes, it is really stupid to let a boy participate in such a practice in a girls' school. Looking at Saishiria, who didn't move, Saishiria decided to run in the middle of the class. Instead of arguing about right and wrong, Jiban was more willing to speak with strength. The picture turned to the training ground. After the duel between Chen Dongjie and Nuo, this couple couldn't wait for a moment. Seeing that Saishiria was fully armed and ready, Jiban's special mechanical was just in place. Remember the first time you touched the IS mechanical, that kind of dreamlike feeling. This time, it's finally your turn to fight. With the expansion of the white control panel, Jiban had a preliminary understanding of it. Compared with Saishiria's high explosion far from the IS mechanical, although the white is a melee mechanical, and he is not very used to it, but in order to prove himself to the world, Jiban will do his best in this battle. Saishiria's arrogant attitude made Jiban resentful, but in the face of attacks like blue, Jiban, who has not yet adapted to the white, has no power to resist. Looking at the awkward situation, Saishiria became more arrogant. At this time, Jiban, who took a break, finally found equipment from the white. Seeing that the shield value is constantly decreasing, Jiban knew that this was not the way to go. It was the best choice to fight for it. Seeing the incredible speed of white justice approaching Saishiria, although this will cause the shield value to decrease, Jiban finally pulled in the distance between the two sides, and in the process of just fighting, the fatal shortcomings such as blue have also been exposed. That is, when Saishiria is controlling the memory attack, the body will be in a state of immobility. So, as long as Jiban can avoid the memory and pull in the distance again, then the victory will belong to him. But God won't always go your way. Jiban missed Saishiria's melee defense system, but this is a little bit of a relief, because he knew that the IS mechanical would protect Jiban. With the closure of the adaptation program, the white finally evolved into Jiban's special form, and at this time, Saishiria woke up. It turns out that Jiban, who just fought with his own spear, used only the factory setting form of the white. So in the face of the completely formed white now, is Saishiria still in a winning position? The answer is Jiban didn't even understand that he was confused by the whole scene, only to see that Chen Dongjie slowly came up with an excuse. In fact, the fundamental reason why Jiban will lose is that he doesn't know about the blood. With the characteristics of the blood, the white can turn defensive energy into an attack when fighting. Although this ability is very good in the enemy battle, it doesn't look so friendly in the simulation battle. Because when the defensive energy returns to zero, the system will automatically identify failure. so Giban will lose. It's just that after that, although Saishiria won the game, he buried a special feeling for Giban in his heart. Originally, he had a huge advantage in long-distance combat and in-city mechanics, and as their representative of the exchange student, he was the elite of the elite. But now, he almost lost to an outsider. What would happen if that battle came down? But Giban didn't. But then again, the next day when everyone was training in the simulation field, Saishiria became particularly concerned about Giban. I think most likely he likes Giban. And after this incident, Saishiria voluntarily gave up the representative qualification and participated in the competition on behalf of the school, and he apologized for his previous impoliteness. And, with the arrival of the news department, Saishiria wanted to take a picture with Giban alone. But the result was, Giban successfully won the class representative qualification. It seems that the confrontation is about to begin. It's just that I heard that the second class as an opponent changed the representative of the competition temporarily. Isn't this obviously a sneak attack? But at this time, Cao Cao came. Are you Lin? In fact, Lin came to the cemetery to declare war, but this looks very cool. But it attracted Giban's comment. What are you wearing? It doesn't look good on you. But soon, Lin was sanctioned. When the first winter festival came, Lin was afraid like a tiger when he saw his compatriots. In the end, he only said harsh words and regretted his retreat. The picture turned to lunchtime. Although Lin just said harsh words, it didn't affect Giban's mood to eat with him at all, and this yearning even ignored the eyes of the crowd. Looking at the two who were having a good talk, the harem finally couldn't stand it anymore. Angry to ask if the two were dating. In a flash, Lin was very shy. That's right, it's just a childhood friend. Giban's answer like a scumbag. I think all the girls who like him will be cold-hearted. In the end, he also said that Mingyu and Xiaoji were childhood sweethearts, and Lin is just a childhood sweetheart. As for the identity of Sicily, Lin didn't care. But this angered the two girls even more. Seeing that the show was over, the harem had to give out the main event. At that moment, Lin suddenly remembered Giban, who was confused. But do you think the two girls will really give up? The answer is definitely impossible. During the IS competition, training time after school, the poor Giban was repaired in turn. The satisfied, two girls scattered and left. Giban, who only stayed, regretted alone in the lounge. At that time, Lin sent sports drinks and towels. It's so sweet and gentle. In order to stay alone with Giban, Lin waited from dusk to dusk. In order to confirm his mind, he got such a response. I'm getting cold. I'm going back to my room. Not only did Lin ask the two girls why they paid attention, Giban also used the word childhood sweetheart to comfort Lin. At that time, Lin felt very wronged, but Lin told himself from the bottom of his heart again. Lin said it was a concept that childhood sweethearts could do. Lin happily wanted to change the dormitory with Xiaoji. As the head of the harem, Xiaoji was the first to disagree. Seeing that he copied the wooden sword, he had to do it. If Lin hadn't started it in time, the consequences of the IS machine gun would have been unimaginable. But this suddenly made Lin angry. The dormitory where Lin's smiling face affected the changed Giban didn't say anything. He even let Xiaoji, who was cold to him, attack him. But he was laughing. Lin said, "Let's say goodbye." Then he didn't look back and left. This time, Giban is really a scumbag. One day, I'll be kicked by a horse and die. This double horsetail is really fierce. Not only is he good at close combat and fierce, he is also good at long-distance fighting. However, this is the content that is hard to master in all aspects. Jing Tiantian is still his childhood sweetheart. What the hell is going on? It turns out that Lin Qianxin worked so hard to transfer to the college Ryu, the love of Benfu and Giban. But no matter when they are alone, or when Lin deliberately raises the little stone, Giban is just speechless. It's like a killer with no feelings. He repeatedly shows no mercy to Lin's love. This also led to the beginning of that night. Lin's dissatisfaction was intensified. He kept using the dragon cannon to launch an attack. The deathless blow gave Jiban a lot of pressure. Looking at the current situation, it has evolved into a consumption war where he ran away alone. Jiban, who was biting his teeth, just didn't want to give up, but all he used was blood. Why can't Sister win the championship? But he is so tragic. Suddenly, Jiban seemed to think of something. The instantaneous acceleration from Chendongjie Nai Shuilai can make the IS mechanical armor reach the maximum speed immediately, although it can only be used once, but the timing is just right. But at this moment, the attack of the 3-day group exploded in an instant. At that moment, everyone didn't know what happened. The classmates were guessing. The harem was nervous. The sudden attack made Chendong realize that something was wrong. With the protective cover closed, Lin said that he would retreat as soon as he heard the sound. But Bai Shi suddenly jumped out of the warning frame. Jiban suddenly found that he had been locked by the enemy. Knowing the situation, Lin blocked Jiban without hesitation. He was ready to drag the enemy alone. But the battlefield was full of smoke. Not waiting for the two of them to breathe a little, the second attack hit Jiban. The smoke emitted a mechanical arm with a metal head. A large I's mechanical armor suddenly appeared in front of him. Looking at this brutal appearance, Jiban doubted that it was still an IS mechanical armor. Is there really someone driving in it? At the same time, he commanded the indoor teacher to order the two of them to retreat quickly. But when Jiban thought of the importance of not being able to enter the safe zone, he was unwilling to leave. Suddenly, Black Iron launched an attack. Looking at the fierce enemy, the two of them naturally did not dare to show weakness. At the same time, they made a good strategy to open the distance. With Lin as a cover, Jiban attacked aggressively. Seeing that the two of them were clearly divided, Black Iron seemed to have noticed that a head was stuck into the lychee cloud layer. With a strong position interference, the head was cut off from the control of the two of them. Looking at the two sides fighting on the command screen, Zechariah was eager to apply for an attack from the east, but he had not been in contact with the people in the actual battle. Now the students in the passage can't get in, and the high school classmates in the rescue can't get out. Everyone can only be anxious, but there is no way. They can only hope that the two of them can defeat Black Iron successfully. But Jiban's defenseless attack was released by the enemy again. You know, this is the 4th time. It seems that cautious energy is enough for the last ineffective attack. The two of them have to renegotiate the strategy. But at this time, Black Iron suddenly sank. Looking at the metal head fully armed with smoke, Jiban questioned again. Is there really someone in there? But no matter how he looks at it, it looks like a drone. Zero agrees with this point of view. At this time, Jiban's eyes changed. Since it's a drone, he can attack with all his might. You can use the snow-covered Linro bioform. You can't lose this battle because the two of them are responsible for protecting everyone's mission. With the full promotion of the dragon cannon, a huge amount of energy was injected into the body. White Stone reached the requirement of Lin Ruo, Baiye's use. The extension of the half-time arrow is a skill to protect the life of Huai Chuan. But as a drone, how can you be afraid of pain? But facing the coming attack, Jiban was not afraid at all, because everything was under his control. The appearance of Cecilia gave Black Iron a fatal blow. Jiban knew that as long as it was Cecilia, the attack would be enough to destroy everything. But is that really the case? Black Iron suddenly responded. In the end, Jiban was sent to the infirmary. But, fortunately, the result was still perfect. Several people successfully solved Black Iron, but it was as if everyone had succeeded in protecting the school's heart. On the other hand, the teacher's analysis result came out. This mechanism is indeed a drone, and it uses an IS core that has never been registered. But why would he attack the school? Thinking of this, Chen Dongji's expression suddenly became serious. When the second male fake operator in the world also came to the girls' school, what kind of experience was it? Just looking at Charlie's cute appearance, the classmates immediately exploded the pot. One or two were fighting to protect him, but it was destined that he belonged to Jiban. After all, he is a boy. Jiban caught a shy Charlie. He didn't even look back and ran out of the classroom. At the same time, he was caught by Charlie. Charlie was caught by Charlie.